Good morning, everyone. If we can kind of find our seats and make our way into the seating area here, we'll get started very shortly. You may be seated. Good morning, and welcome to our 2022 University Convocation. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our university leadership. By the way, I'm Dwayne McGaugh, General Manager of KMSU here on campus. And I'd like to start by recognizing the president of our Minnesota State Mankato Student Government, Emma Zellmer. Please stand and receive our thanks for your leadership and the representation of the Insider student body. Now I'd like to introduce members of the President's Cabinet, the Council of Deans, and expanded Cabinet. And when your name is read, please stand and stay standing, and then audience, will you please hold your applause until the end. Dr. Edward Inch, our President, and Belin Fernandez. Sherry Sargent, the President's Chief of Staff. Dr. David Hood, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Lynn Akey, President for Student Success, Analytics, and Integrated Planning. Dr. David Jones, Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. Mark Johnson, Vice President for Information Technology Solutions and Chief Information Officer. Dr. Henry Morris, Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Richard Straka, Vice President for Finance and Administration. Kent Stanley, Vice President for University Advancement. Dr. Ane Dahlman, Interim Associate Provost and Dean of Global Education. Dr. Timothy Berry, Interim Associate Vice President for Faculty Affairs and Equity Initiatives. Dr. Jennifer Veltzos, Interim Associate Vice President for Curriculum and Dean of Graduate Studies. Dr. Terry Wallace, Interim Associate Vice President for Research and Dean of Extended Campus. Dr. Patricia Marinsek, Dean, College of Allied Health and Nursing. Dr. Brenda Flannery, Dean, College of Business. Dr. Jean Haar, Dean, College of Education. Dr. Chris Brown, Dean, College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Dr. Aaron Budge, Acting Dean, College of Science, Engineering, and Technology. Dr. Laura Yin, Acting Associate Dean, College of Science, Engineering, and Technology. Dr. Chris Corley, Dean, Library and Learning. Cindy Janney, Dean of Students. Dr. Brian Martinson, Interim Executive Director of Minnesota Polytechnic and Applied Learning Institute. Dr. William Broussard, Associate Vice President for University Advancement. Jeff Harris, Associate Vice President for University Marketing and Communications. Dr. Kelly Meyer, Associate Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Paul Corcoran, Assistant Vice President for Facilities Management. Steve Smith, Assistant Vice President for Budget and Business Service. Elizabeth Whitcomb, Director of Student Financial Services. Jill Frederickson Kratzky, Acting Director of Human Resources. Linda Alvarez, Director of Equal Opportunities and Title IX. Kevin Beisman, Director of Athletics. Let's give them all a round of applause for providing leadership and direction to our university. You may all be seated. Next, I'd like to introduce our union leaders who have joined us today. And again, when your name is read, please stand and stay standing. And audience, please hold your applause until the end. Dr. Greg Marg, President of our Faculty Association. Marie Slotemaker, President of our Minnesota State Administrative and Service Faculty. Julie Dornock, President of our local AFSCME Council. Matthew Potochenek, President of Minnesota Association of Professional Employees. Matt Clay, President of our Middle Management Association. Kevin Scholl, on behalf of Minnesota Government Engineers Council. Tanya Schmidtke, on behalf of the Minnesota Nurses Association. The university couldn't do what we do without your exceptional shared governance structure, so thank you for representing your various collective bargaining units and advocating on behalf of our employees. Let's give them a round of applause. You may be seated. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to also take a moment to recognize and welcome the new faculty and staff who have joined us in this past year. So could you please stand and receive your applause if you're new faculty who have joined us. Welcome to Minnesota State University, Mankato. We are glad to have you here. Please be seated. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our student government president, Emma Zellmer, who will share a few remarks with us today.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to campus. As mentioned, my name is Emma Zellmer. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the student body president for the 90th Student Government. I wanted to start by thanking President Inch for the opportunity to speak with you all today and help set the tone for the year. I would also like to thank all of our faculty, staff, and employees for joining us here today, and Representative Atkins as well. To share a little bit about me, I am a senior, hopefully, getting my degree in philosophy, political science, and economics with an emphasis on poli-sci. But something that very few people know about me is that I am a fourth-generation Minnesota State Mankato student. 90 years ago, my great-grandmother walked onto the campus of Mankato Teachers College with the same dream that many of our students who walk onto campus today continue to have, to make a better life for themselves and their families. And she was able to do just that, with my grandfather and parents following in her footsteps a few years following through all of the different name changes. In 2018, I was able to follow in her footsteps as well, walking onto our campus with bright eyes and big ideas. Just 2 weeks into my college experience, my community advisor, Liz, reached out and encouraged me to join student government. It was because of her and many other mentors who have tapped my shoulder along the way that I have been able to serve students as a residential life senator, community advisor, the speaker of the student government, the state chair of Students United that represents students from all 7 state universities, and I am now able to finish my college career serving the students of our campus as student body president. My story shows that higher education and leadership is not something that we take on alone, but something that we take on as a community. The community of support and inclusion that our campus has had and continues to build is what keeps new generations of families coming back and what continues to bring new students to our campus. This community is built up of students, staff, faculty, and administration working together to continue to push big ideas both within and outside of our organization. Some of the successes that we have had over the past years include expanding support for student basic needs. This year, our campus will be hiring a full-time student basic needs coordinator to assist in connecting students to resources both on our campus and in the community. We will be launching a new student housing portal that will allow students to provide an honest review of their off-campus living situations, and we will have expanded free parking during the busy start of the semester for both students and staff. As a community, we have also secured housing scholarships that will support 2 students with housing expenses that was given out by the last student government. Even though we have done much of this work online or hybrid over the past year, I am excited to continue to grow and come back stronger from the pandemic, but in order to do that, we must work together. The first goal of the student government this year is to grow student leadership on our campus. Many of us in this room, especially the staff and faculty members, are the first point of contact or only point of contact for many of our students on our campus. I want you all to think back to a time in college or your life and think about a person who helped mentor and encourage your growth along the way. Maybe it was a professor who told you should consider graduate school because you are smart enough. Maybe it was a staff member who shared an internship opportunity and encouraged you to apply. Maybe it was another student who encouraged you to take on a leadership opportunity. It is because of your hard work and these people that we are all here today, and it is our duty to students of this university to ensure that we step up and remind them that they are smart enough for what they want to do, and encourage them to apply for their dream job or internship because they are good enough and qualified enough to achieve it. And encourage them to run for leadership opportunities because they are worthy of those positions. And once they do achieve their goals, we must continue to support them on that journey. But we also have a duty to ensure that every student has an opportunity to succeed on our campus, no matter what their financial situation is. Student government will once again be fundraising for our student housing scholarship for students that is not based on their high school test scores, and will be awarded to low-income and BIPOC students. And I hope that you all consider supporting our mission to ensure that every student can have a safe and affordable place to live, learn, and succeed. Beyond housing, I encourage you all to pick up a shift at our on-campus food pantry, off-campus, and consider donating different foods to those as well. This year, student government will work to continue to grow awareness of our programs and services that are available on our campus. Awareness of these services is essential to supporting equity in our community and ensuring that we can help our students get to graduation. When a student reaches out asking to turn in an assignment late because of something going on in their life, not only should you grant that extension, but you should also consider pointing them different directions for where they could go and find support on campus. Not only that, but we need to support affordability. We need to make sure that we are seeing what we can do with open educational resources and textbook affordability. I know that the library would be happy to meet with any faculty member who would like to find different avenues than a $200 textbook for our students. And I look forward to working with you all on these affordability initiatives. When it comes to affordability, we also need to think about other funding, such as the state government. If you haven't heard yet, this year is a very big election year with our whole state government as well as the governor up for election. And it is our responsibility to encourage our students to get out and vote, register for vote, and tell them about different community engagement opportunities if they aren't a qualified voter in the area. It is because of our civic engagement that we will be able to finally fund higher education at 67% that our state government says it always will. So beyond that, I want to thank you all for time today. I wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here. I look forward to working with you all to ensure that our campus continues to be the best when the next generation of my family walks onto campus, that we can think about all the amazing services that we've created that we might not be able to benefit from. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 13th president of Minnesota State University Mankato, Dr. Edward Inch.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Dwayne. This is such a bigger crowd than this time last year, and I think that says, and I know we have people streaming, but it is so wonderful to see everybody here and the kind of energy that you all bring with you in anticipation of the new year. And Emma, thank you for sharing your goals and vision as our student body president. I'm looking forward to working with you and the students starting tonight at your retreat. For me, this is a special event. It marks the beginning of a new school year, and it's an opportunity for me to address our entire community.
Is that okay?
Even more importantly, though, at Convocation, we come together to reflect, to celebrate, and to set our focus for the new year. It is hard not to feel the energy building over the past week and today. Our campus looks outstanding. It's beautiful outside. Our students have begun to move into residence halls. People are excited for classes to start, and we are ready for the new year. Hearing the MAV machine this morning reminds me of the energy our students working with our faculty and our staff bring to our campus. The opportunities ahead of us are exciting. And building on our achievements from last year and the years before, I'm tremendously optimistic about our future. Learning about our campus, our community and culture and history reinforced my deep appreciation for the people who worked hard to build and strengthen this university for generations, longer than that. Our memorial event in June celebrating the legacy of President Margaret Prescott certainly brought this into focus, as did recognizing the contributions of Florence Cobb, the founder of our dance program, by naming our dance studio after her. Throughout our history and today, we are fortunate to have had so many talented and dedicated people who led, shaped, and advanced our university to sharpen our focus on our student success. That's why hiring and retaining great people is so important, and it's nice to see so many here today. because they become part of our community and the future direction of our university. I want to welcome all of our new staff and faculty and administrators joining our community this year. In my first year, I found this to be a place full of talent and passion. And I'm proud to call this university my home. And I hope you will find it as inviting, inspiring, and energetic as I have. Before proceeding, I do want to recognize a special guest in our audience. Representative Susan Ackland is joining us this morning. Thank you, Representative Ackland, for being here. And I look forward to the conversations that we have about state support for students in higher education, the work that you have done, and the ways in which we can collaborate, and the ways that our legislature and university system working together can support the Minnesota state system as well as Minnesota State Mankato. By almost any measure, last year was a success. We made it through what I hope was the worst of COVID. We are not done with it, but we are better. And our successes through the pandemic represent the efforts of our entire community. Your dedication, your work, ensuring that our students were educated. Thank you for that. It made a difference. Our faculty and our staff worked tirelessly to ensure students were educated, supported, and successful, even under the very worst imaginable circumstances. I was and remain genuinely impressed with the passion shown to provide our students with the care they needed using all the new and novel tools we developed as learning conditions changed and challenged us. Last year, I had many opportunities to meet and learn from people in our region, as well as those who have built our university. I met with every academic and non-academic unit on our campus. I talked with regional leaders and elected officials, and I spoke with the presidents in our system and colleagues in the system office. We deployed the community's online tool for people to offer feedback, insights, and give me advice, and people were not shy. We had many, many, many thoughts about things we should and could do. We had many robust conversations. But from all of that, I took away 4 primary themes. First, our communities are proud of and impressed with the work that we do and the students we graduate. There is no question that our students excel along their paths, whether it be in their careers, civic engagement, or community leadership. I've talked with alumni who tell me that they look to us first for recruiting new talent into their organizations. In any of our job fairs, you certainly get that sense if you're in this space. I've spoken with business leaders who recruit our students because, as they explain it, our students know how to get the job done. Our degrees have value, not only for students, but for those who employ them. I met with an alum who owns a factory near here. He introduced me to 25 people that he has hired right out of our university over the last 3 decades, straight into management positions. He said, and I believe, we graduate exceptional students. And that's a testament to the work that we do on this campus. Second, I regularly hear about the excellent work our university does in our community and state. It's everywhere, with many people doing many different kinds of things. From our athletes who take the time for youth in our community to skate or swim with the Mavericks, to our wrestler who volunteers his time in North Mankato schools, and everything in between, it is remarkable. Our interdisciplinary Earth Systems Laboratory that officially opened last year is a wonderful example of how faculty collaborating with one another and our students to research and better understand natural observable phenomena and their impact on the world and civilization is wonderful. Particularly powerful for me was how this lab and our students and faculty supported and worked closely with tribal communities. The stories were impactful. It is impossible to walk out of that space and not feel a tremendous appreciation for the work our campus does. And this is not an isolated example. I marvel so much at the impact we make in the Iron Range, with automotive engineering, on our stages, in our galleries, and so much more. I would be remiss, though, if I did not highlight the work and contributions of Dr. Gwen Westerman, the Poet Laureate for the state of Minnesota, who works passionately to inspire young writers and thinkers. I was so impressed and grateful to be in attendance when Governor Walz announced her appointment. Our university makes a difference. You feel it on our campus, you feel it across our state. I cannot name all of the incredible examples of Maverick's impact in our community and the world, There is not time, and at some point, the provost got to speak. And you would probably, by the third hour. But there are many things that we do, and I see our work almost everywhere I go, including MS United at Twins game a couple of weeks ago, where more than 1,200 of us managed through really, really high temperatures. It is remarkable and humbling to see and hear so much about the excellent work of our university and all of the people in it. Third, and I've told people this before and regularly, our campus community is passionate about the success of our students. We cheer for them while they are here and encourage them long past graduation. Over and over, I hear how much our faculty and staff cherish their relationships with our students, and over, I hear how much our students cherish their relationships with their faculty and staff. Many of our alumni tell me stories of how somebody on our campus, faculty member, administrator, staff member, somebody on our campus at the right moment in time offered the right piece of advice or a nudge or a prompt that gave them a focus, a direction, an inspiration that shaped their life trajectory. They are grateful. It's funny how sometimes the simplest thing to you or me might profoundly and positively help someone. And yet, that's what we do. That is why I have been asked whether the plan is for this university to become an entirely online university. I tell them no. Something about this place and our community is extraordinary and makes a difference for our students and region. Online learning is a valuable tool. We should use it. It will help us in many ways, but it does not substitute for the connections that we create or how we deliver the best instruction possible. All things in balance. Fourth, I also heard of the downside of our care and passion for our students. Our employees here have adapted and adjusted to meet new needs and challenges to support student success by ensuring that we added programs or centers or processes and services that all try to enrich the experience. That adaptability is necessary, it is commendable, it's what got us through the pandemic. However, most of the time we've done this with flat resources, and more often than not, we've added new projects to already full portfolio, stretching many of us pretty thin. That was a common theme in my trip around campus meeting with the different units. This is not a long-term strategy for our success. I'm not even sure it's a reasonable short-term strategy. So this year, better aligning our resources to our institutional goals is a necessary priority. If we don't, we run the risk of becoming less effective and even more stressed. Last year, I wrote about writing the next chapter in our history, Chapter 7, The Destination, and I discussed the overarching strategic framework of Destination 2030. Destination 2030 asks two guiding questions. First, what makes our campus a first-choice destination for learners? People choose to be here. And second, what is the university, the destination we aspire to be as an educational community? To answer those two questions, I focused on 5 imperatives higher education faces. I use these themes to frame conversations and imagine where we should be headed. Last year was a year to learn, to research and understand. This will be a year where we put the plan to paper, digital paper, and create our, not crazy about how much paper we have, okay. Digital paper, and create our institutional roadmap that addresses these questions. So I want to take a few minutes to update you all on where we are and what we are planning. Imperative 1, serving students and managing our enrollment. Our curriculum and academic opportunities on campus are robust, and they attract many learners to study with us. That is wonderful. And overall, with enrollment, we're doing pretty okay. We're doing well in the sense that we have an incoming class that is about 10% higher than last year. That is outstanding. Still, our overall enrollment is down about 3%. Our transfer and graduate enrollment have slipped significantly, and our retention rates remain at low pandemic levels. This tells me we have work to do. The pandemic and separation from one another did not help, especially when building solid and meaningful relationships is at the core of the work and the core of our success. This year, we will deploy new advising and support tools that embed predictive analytics to help us with constructive interventions, or as our student panelists at our retreat last week put it, proactive outreach. The student panelists, I think, talked explicitly about the meaningful difference that proactive outreach and faculty-forward outreach made a difference for them, and how it helped them be retained to graduation. The new tools we're implementing this year will make a difference. Further, we will continue to grow our outreach and reentry programs for students that stopped out, especially due to the pandemic. These are beginning to yield returns. With MAV Reconnect, we brought back 63 students who had left within the last 3 years. These efforts are essential. There's more to be done, but they are working, and we need to do things, continue to work on, ensuring that we have clear program pathways for all of them to complete their degrees. All this said, there is no more vital tool in our toolbox than the work each of you do to connect with, nudge, steer, push, and care for our students. Our student panelists last week at our campus retreat talked about how these connections made a difference. This year, after the separations we experienced most of the previous 2 years, we recommit ourselves to doing what we do best, connecting with our students and demonstrating our student-first focus. Imperative 2, focusing our resources. We ended last year with a balanced budget and strong reserves. That's a plus. These provide us with some flexibility, and more importantly, in what promises to be a challenging budget year, these resources give us the ability to move forward and design the university we want to have. I'm impressed with the work of our finance offices, budget heads, and leadership to ensure our overall financial well-being. That took work. It is especially worth noting that last year we distributed a record $172 million in financial aid that included federal and state funds, emergency relief, and institutional funds. What a remarkable feat that involved truly tireless work of so many people to process that volume of aid. But it made a difference. We prevented some students from stopping out. We helped others have a richer educational experience. I also want to acknowledge, though, our donors and our foundation board members for their generosity in supporting emergency and retention grants for so many students in need. The level of community support here, what we experience on a daily basis, is humbling, and I am truly grateful. All this said, the coming year will test our financial skills and fiscal discipline. I'm sure you are aware the legislature did not pass a bonding bill, nor did it pass the supplemental appropriations asked for by the Minnesota state system. It did not fund a tuition freeze. With relatively flat resources, this will be a tight year. And while I hold out some hope that there will be a special session or opportunity to fund some of these initiatives, until then, the Armstrong Replacement Project right now is stalled. Students facing a 3.5% tuition increase will also feel the added pressure and stress on their finances. For some, it represents a difficult decision about whether they will be able to remain in school. We have some choices to make. Last year, we completed the second round of our strategic budget planning process. I know that for many it was difficult, and for many it was frustrating. For me, though, the process was valuable. It helped me better understand how our resources are used and what outcomes we achieved. The process clarified which of our programs draw students here, which of our programs are exceptional at equitably retaining and graduating our students at the highest levels, and which of our programs have the most significant impact on our region and state. This coming year, though, we will spend some time redesigning our budget and allocation model to ensure that we carefully align our resources with our strategic and institutional goals. As we start these discussions, the hard reality is that we cannot be everything for everyone as much as we may wish. We need to be adaptable and focused, and we need to critically examine the processes and the procedures that get in our way and distract us from the direction we are heading. We need to consider what things we can subtract before we think about how much we can add. How can we lighten the load of people who are already stretched thin? I think about how much energy goes into various workflows that we have and the new processes, programs, and projects that we initiate to support, these may all be valuable, but there must be ways to streamline or eliminate impediments. Of all the process complaints I hear, one stands out, and I'm sure you probably all know what it is. The students I've talked to refer to it as the Maverick Shuffle, but I've heard other people talk about it too. That's our process of moving paper from office to office, from station to station, and shepherding volumes of paper. Too many workflows. Shuffle paper from place to place, and often, as a challenge, not always clear about where it is at any given moment, or what its status is, or was it lost. Are there ways we can lighten our load if we rethink workflows and eliminate some of these processes that slow us down and get in the way? This year, we work to streamline and automate, to the best of our ability, our work to help reduce some of that stretch. Imperative 3, offering an exceptional student experience. We do that well now. We engage our students in many meaningful ways, from athletics to speech and debate to the math machine, our 200+ clubs, our learning communities in the classroom, in our labs, among so many others. We also have an outstanding public engagement and opportunity enriching set of programs. Hockey Day and the Frozen Four last year were exceptional experiences for our campus community because they drew so many people together across our region, across our state, and even to Boston. We provide opportunities for students to participate in the high-impact experiences that have been designed into our curriculum, including internships, service learning projects, faculty-student research, global study programs, mentorship, so much more. And our new School of Agriculture and the Minnesota Polytechnic initiatives are great examples of those things that have the possibility of drawing people to us. They will connect the needs of our community and region to new ways of providing experiences that meet the needs of new and future learners. These experiences connect our students to the world beyond our classrooms and labs. They enrich our curriculum and introduce students to new paths and passions. Moving forward, we have real opportunities to strengthen and heighten the quality of these experiences so that every student can engage. We do a lot now. This is a year to coordinate the many pieces and opportunities of our campus in an accessible, rich, and meaningful way for all of our students. As many of you know, one of the most meaningful experiences in my education was my participation in speech and debate, both in high school and in college. College debate, when I participated, began each academic year with a single national proposition, and all teams in the nation debated that proposition for the entire academic year. Each team at each tournament would debate half the tournament affirming the proposition and the other half of the tournament opposing the proposition. That is a powerful exercise because it requires our students to look at multiple sides of any issue and understand how complex issues are and how few issues have a right or wrong answer. I mention this because as both a debate coach and as a rhetorician, my disciplinary home, I always loved election season. I used to get to moderate debates, and I got to provide media commentary as candidates laid out positions, discussed them, and navigated the complexities of moving from issues to ideas to policy. That was a lot of fun. Honestly, though, I am quite disheartened by the quality of some of our national political discourse. It can be polarizing, and it comes across as angry. It does not invite people to join the conversation, to participate or dialogue. It puts people off. It often focuses on people instead of the issues or policies that will move our communities and nation forward. That is not constructive. It does not help us here in our state or in the nation achieve our potential. I was at a meeting last week with regional leaders, one of whom reported that in his neighborhood, people have simply stopped talking about the important issues because of fear of reprisal for political opinion that they might hold. And I suspect this may not be the exception. And as a community, we need to do better. Universities must continue to be a place for constructive conversations and dialogue, no matter how challenging or difficult. This ought to be a place for exploration and discovery. Ideas here should be examined, researched deeply, and considered from more than two points of view from all the different facets that make up any complex issue we face. Our university needs to be a place where inquiry, debate, and discussion help us educate and not vilify. That is why I'm pleased to announce this fall we will be hosting candidate forums about some of the issues and policies that will shape the future direction of the region and the state. Not everyone will agree with every position. That's fine. That's a good thing. Education and learning are about exploring and grappling with challenging ideas, helping people make up their own minds, understand what it is they need to know, to do research, to have conversations. I like the point made by one of the students at the retreat last week. He said that he attended lots of political group meetings on campus, not because he agreed with any one of them, but because each of those meetings showed him a different point of view, made him think, made him research. I liked his comments. In coordination with our student leaders, we will work hard this year to ensure that every student who wants to will be able to have the resources to vote intelligently, to represent what it is they want, but to get registered to vote so that they have a voice. And that's important for our students. Imperative 4, caring for the health and well-being of our educational community. Demand for health care access, equity for mental and physical health has been heavily discussed throughout the national media. It's part of the national conversation and should come as no surprise, and our campus is no different. During the past year, I was genuinely impressed when I met with the various service centers and support areas across campus. We offer students a wide array of services, including a full pharmacy, including lab work, counseling, telepsychiatry. Our learning support services range from research to tutoring and tech support. Our MavPass program has shown remarkable success with its peer-facilitated support and supplemental instruction. Our food pantry and garden help with food insecurities and ensure that students don't go without. And just by way of note, this past year, an incredible 171,000 pounds of food went to students in need. That's huge. All of these help our students find ways forward and support their success. Now, of course, there are challenges. One of the most important is how best to align our support systems to meet the needs our students have. We are launching tools for advisors this year, which will help make sure that we're able to align what we have to where students need us. Expanding Ask Stomper, our chatbot, should provide access to a wide array of resources and referrals anytime, day or night, all year. And beginning today, a gold folder will be on the desktop of university computers. And the goal of the gold folder is to make sure that everybody who works here has resources with referral information to help any student in need. We've begun a series of short videos called the Maverick Minute to highlight services students may need. These will play on social media and around campus throughout the year. Our goal is to make sure that all that is available to our students is upfront and visible and regular. And over the year, we will continue to refine and enhance student access to mental and physical health services. But as I mentioned earlier, continually doing more for our students comes at a cost, and people can become stretched too thin. We need to be intentional about how we support our workforce. That is why this year we are working to implement a flex work schedule to help with work-life balance. And as I mentioned to our community last spring, implementation challenges will undoubtedly occur along the way. Still, in the end, we will have a system that maintains or even improves our levels of service, provides for equitable distribution of work and responsibilities, and enhances the experience of the members of our community. Further, we will emphasize professional development and have opportunities to recognize the often unsung work of our campus. Recognitions and appreciations are important, and that will be a priority this year. One way we will do this in the coming year and throughout in the coming year is what I refer to as the Presidential Maverick Coin Challenge. We made 150 challenge coins, and I've distributed these to 11 people whose task it is throughout the years to look for those who do the exceptional work that make this a truly special place. The goal is to showcase who we are at our best and to highlight those who make the most significant differences. This is the first one off the press. I expect you can't see it from far away, but it's a little coin, it's nice. we'll do an event at the end of the year to celebrate our exceptional people. Imperative 5, ensuring a welcoming, equitable, and inclusive community. I believe our university has done tremendous work. We've done a good job of developing a welcoming culture of inclusivity, but that work never stops, and there is more to do. We must ensure that every person who walks in our hallways or enjoys our beautiful grounds feels welcomed and invited to be in this space. A welcoming and equitable university requires community, strong positive relationships, and a shared commitment. The President's Commission on the Status of Women has worked toward these goals and will continue this year. And these were the goals in the last strategic plan implemented by the President's Commission on Diversity. Turning these goals into action will be the focus of the plan that the Commission is currently developing. Reaching our Destination 2030 goals depends on our success at making our environment equitable, inclusive, and welcoming for all learners and employees. This commitment resonates with our systems focus on Equity 2030 and ensuring all qualified learners have access to higher education. We continue to have some success in decreasing opportunity gaps and improving degree completion rates. Our faculty and staff have worked hard to make this a reality, but the pandemic set us back in many critical areas, and we've more work to do. This year, we're going to focus on some of the systemic issues that impede our progress. We will conduct a climate survey this year to strengthen our baseline data from which we can design the next steps. We have had significant success with changes in financial hold policies. Our emergency grants made a difference. However, we have work to do with clarifying degree and transfer pathways, ensuring our prerequisites clearly align with degree learning outcomes, and developing a proactive relational approach for supporting our students. I speak with our students regularly. We are educating learners committed to addressing significant issues ranging from climate and sustainability to social justice, racism, and equity. That is why this year, our university will partner with our student leadership to adopt 2 priorities they have advanced. First, a commitment to sustainability, and second, a commitment to social justice, equity, and inclusion. One of the things I truly enjoy before today is walking around campus. And over the weekend, I walked around campus and met many students and families as they moved into residence halls. They were excited. They were optimistic. And they were looking forward to the new year. They do not take earning a degree lightly. They're a sacrifice and a drive to succeed and make their voices heard. They want to know that what we do here will help empower them to make the difference they want in their world. They trust us. They invest in us because of our promise and commitment to their success. This past year was a year of strategic thinking and learning. It was an opportunity for us to look honestly at what's going to work well and what needs to be done. And I applaud all of you for participating in those many conversations. They helped me learn a lot and to focus my energy. The work you have done and continue to do strengthens us and will help move us boldly forward. The Star Tribune recognized us as the Gold Best College University in Minnesota for 2021. And I'm confident we will earn that recognition again this year. It reflects our commitment to one another, our students, and our state. What has become clear to me is that we are reshaping what it means for us to be a regional university. Our region and our community ground our efforts, strengthen who we are. But we're not defined by nor limited by our physical space. Our reach is global. A great institution is not known just by the achievements of its past or on its campus. It is known for how it drives toward a future that prepares our students for what is to come. And that is why it is time to put pen to paper, or rather fingers to keys, and write our next chapter. Reaching 2030 goals and becoming a transformational leader in higher education will require bold action. And that action begins with creating not just strategic plans, but providing the steps to meet our goals. Our work will make this institution gravitational. It will be a place that draws learners, communities, talent, and entrepreneurs to our campus and this region and they will influence our world. Our planning forward will take work. It will take our collective commitment to make it happen. But together, we will grow the university into a place that supports learners and employees, cultivates a diverse culture of thought and ideas, and opens doors for our students to lifelong pathways that today we might only dream of. Be our Mavericks. And today we begin this journey, our destination. Go Mavs.
And now, let's welcome our Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. David Hood.
Ditto, 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 ditto. I promise you we did not sit together and write our speech, nor did we have the same speechwriter. Thank you, Dwayne. Good morning, and welcome to Fall Convocation for academic year 2023. I am honored to be here speaking with all of you today for the first time. Today marks the first of many new academic years at Minnesota State University. As we rang in 2022, I had no clue I would become a Minnesotan. Perhaps if I had listened to and been more attentive to the words spoken by my partner, Eric, for 19 years, during our annual end-of-the-year reflection and goal-setting time, I now vividly recall him telling me, David, your time at Montclair State University is coming to an end. And I firmly believe that your next assignment will be somewhere in the Midwest. Well, here I am today in Mankato, Minnesota, on the campus of Minnesota State University. I would like to take an opportunity to express my gratitude to the search committee that was co-chaired by VP David Jones and Professor Greg Mard, and to all of the campus constituents who participated in the search process, and to President Inch for selecting me for this amazing opportunity. However, it is equally important that each of you realize that I also selected you. I selected you not only because of the opportunity, but because of the university's stated core values, its demonstrated commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to your unwavering commitment to teaching and learning. Sherry Sargent, Amber Power, Lacey Mitchell-Garza, Brian Breck, Renee Henneker, Chris Delia, and Brian Martinson. Thank you for making my transition into the role and to Mankato seamless. I stand before you today because throughout my formal educational journey, I have experienced the transformative power of meaningful connection and exceptional learning opportunities that extended beyond the classroom. Miss Jane Smith, my high school English teacher, she trained me how to be the editor of my high school yearbook. Miss Carolyn Parker, my instructor for my freshman history class on the campus of Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, ignited my passion for teaching history. And Dr. B. Joyce Stallworth, she instilled in me the principles and the foundation of the education profession by guiding my participation in my student professional organization, the Student Alabama Education Association. And in graduate school, Dr. W. Franklin Evans and Dr. Christian Arthur, they invited me to join in on their research, which led to several publication and conference presentations. Yet, the most profound connection that transformed my life was the one made by my high school math teacher, Coach Eddie James. Now, let me paint the picture. I was in no way a great math student. In fact, I was a C math student. I would earn an occasional B. But yet this math teacher took a profound interest in all of my talents and my strengths as a student. He realized that my trumpet skills were advancing, and they were advancing beyond that of my little $5 trumpet that my parents paid $5 a month for. It was a gold beginner king trumpet, and that was all that we could afford. But Coach James revealed to me that he too at one point was a trumpet player. And he said, I have a trumpet at home. And he said, I think it might advance your development. So one day he came into class with his Bach Stradivarius, and at that time, that's a really nice horn for my music people. It was valued at about $2,500 back in the late 80s, early 90s. And he agreed to sell that horn to me and my mother for only $300. His willingness to make that meaningful connection ultimately allowed me and my family to realize the power of a college degree, debt-free. If you fast forward 25 years later, I was honored when Coach James reached out to me, and he gave me the opportunity to return this instrument of sound back to him so that he might give that powerful, transformative gift to his grandson. You ask me, why is this significant? I'm glad you asked. Beyond you gaining to learn a little bit more about your provost, I also wanted to illustrate how these experiences shaped the path of this African-American son of a bank teller, a plant foreman, a farmer, and a funeral director from Alabama, who stands before you as your provost and senior vice president for academic affairs. And it allows you to imagine with me how embedding meaningful connections like these into the experiences of our students could transform our campus culture. This concept of creating meaningful connections as a vehicle to foster student success is one of EAB's 15 pillars of the EAB Equity Moonshot Initiative. And I believe this is one of the most powerful and cost-effective levers we can activate as an institution in our quest to retain and graduate more of our students. This belief was validated by our students who attended and joined us last week for the President's Leadership Retreat. A recurring theme that emerged as we engaged them was their desire to be valued and to establish meaningful relationships with faculty and staff. My personal commitment this academic year is to establish a minimum of 10 meaningful connections. Now, my staff in the provost office, they said only 10. I said, well, if you're establishing meaningful connection, that takes time and energy. So 10 is the challenge. And I invite each of you to join me in this commitment this year. Over the years, I've found that such connections have made my work more fulfilling, and it has provided a different lens through which I approach my work. Today, as I embark upon my 46th day as a Maverick, I spent the early hot days and humid days of summer getting to know the people who fuel our campus. In my exploration, I discovered some amazing truths about the university that is my new home. The first thing that I discovered is that the leadership of our faculty association under Professors Greg Mark and Sharice Truesdale Moore have already proven their commitment to being thoughtful consultants and trusted partners, as we have already worked collaboratively to resolve issues related to faculty and students. I've also learned of the forward-thinking innovation of our IT solutions team led by VP Mark Johnson, who positioned this great university to be nimble and responsive to the COVID pandemic. While all of us across the country, we were struggling to find manufacturers and find resources, you already had it. You already had a plan in place, and when the pandemic hit, you were able to execute. You were able to quickly equip 144 classrooms to be high-tech learning hubs that allow faculty to deploy a wide array of instructional modalities to meet the needs of all students. And you should be commended for that. The university, under the VP Rick Strocker, has been responsible stewards of its fiscal resources that provides our university with a significant competitive advantage as we continue to innovate and reimagine the next frontier. Our athletic department is committed to producing champions on the ice, on the court, on the field, and in the classroom. I was excited to learn that 13 of our student athletes from our men's and women's hockey team were honored as American Hockey Coaches Association All-American Scholars for maintaining a 3.75 GPA or higher. But I was most impressed with discovering the intentional work that our track and field coaches have engaged in by partnering with our diversity, equity, and inclusion team and the University Math Pass program. Did you know that they have fully embraced the Math Pass concept? And because of their full throttle embrace of this program, they were able to successfully achieve 100% eligibility for their team and secure a national championship. And in academic affairs, the Maverick Nursing Advanced Transfer Plan, the MAP, currently provides more seamless transfer pathways for nursing students from Riverland Community College and South Central Community College into a 100% online BSN program. Currently, 6 additional MAPS agreements are being finalized and will be announced later this semester. And did you know that MNSU, and I'm sure you do now because the president mentioned it, our very own Professor Gwen Westerman was recently selected as the 2022 Poet Laureate Fellow by the American Academy of Poets. Professor Westerman, are you here today? Thank you for sharing your gifts, talents, love of teaching and learning, and the fact that you are a Minnesotan treasure. Your artistry of poetry has been a jewel for the university family. Finally, I would like to acknowledge the hard work, the difficult work of the faculty of the 2 colleges that came together against odds and formed our new College of Humanities and Social Sciences. I look forward to your continued dedication and support in moving the work forward under the leadership of your new dean, Dr. Christopher Brown. I've highlighted only a very small sample of all the many great accomplishments that individuals, departments, units, and divisions have shared with me in my first 6.5 weeks here on campus. Learning of this work already occurring and the many successes reaffirmed to me that I made the right choice. And I am now a part of a university family that is poised to accomplish so much more as we imagine together what Minnesota State University can become. It was important for me to highlight for you some of the great work that is already a part of the DNA of this great institution. Many times, you are so connected to the work you perform that it's difficult for you to see how remarkable and essential it is to the long-term viability and success. As provost, I am often asked, what's your vision for the university? I believe vision of any great organization must be one that is shared. Over the past year, the university community has been engaged in conversations. Number one, you've been engaged in conversation about serving students. And I believe that we should be serving students who choose our great institution and not the ones that we dream of. Serving these students well means that we must use every tool at our disposal to reach them. What if we invested in advanced training for our faculty to realize the full potential of HyFlex instruction, with an aim of it becoming the norm and not just something we did for pandemic response? I've also learned that this year you had conversations about how the university will imagine new ways to continue to closely scrutinize the use of our financial resources. In an era where state funding for higher education remains flat, we must embrace processes that realize efficiency and saving for reinvestment. We've also had opportunities this past year to dialogue about the student experience provided by the flagship of the Minnesota State system, and the idea that every student who receives a degree from this great institution will have high-quality internships, student-faculty research opportunities, short and long-term study abroad opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities, and leadership in mentoring. Over the past year, we've come to realize that emotional and physical health and well-being are essential to highly productive students, staff, and faculty. If this is true, then we should vigorously advance our flexible work implementation to increase work-life balance for our employees and to increase their work satisfaction, while also still meeting and exceeding our current levels of service for students. And we have to embrace the imperative that every office, unit, department, and college or school and division must operationalize short and long-term strategies to advance our Equity 2030 work. This great institution is home of the nation's second oldest LGBT center, founded in 1977. So I am sure and convinced that we can all agree that we should build upon this legacy of being welcoming, equitable, and an inclusive university. These concepts and themes, as you know, are not foreign. And they help to answer the resounding question of knowing and understanding my vision. The answer rests in us working collaboratively to solve the complex questions. In the 2001 bestseller, Good to Great, Jim Collins submits that good organizations become great and solve complex questions when they, number one, lead with the question and not answers, when they engage in dialogue and spirited idea exchange, and when they conduct analysis without blame and have a willingness to embrace factual truths undergirded by data. As a university this year, we will move forward in many areas. We're going to continue to advocate for funding for the Armstrong Hall project. We're going to move forward in exploring new strategic budget processes that will create a mechanism for strategic investment and renewal. We're going to move forward in studying our culture and climate, and we're going to move forward in launching new degree programs this year that respond to market demand and that meet the strategic needs of our region. We will move forward in institutionalizing and adopting new technologies that will move us one step closer to becoming a paperless campus, President Inch. And we are, as a result of the acquisition of Starfish by EAB, we will move forward in launching a new student success and academic advising platform that will also allow us to develop and deploy predictive analytics on our campus. As you see, there is no shortage of meaningful work to accomplish. However, I do want to talk to you today about 3 key priority areas of focus. In some of these areas, we will build upon and advance existing work, and in other areas, it will require us to engage in dialogue and debate and move decisively to action. The 3 priority areas are, number 1, becoming a transfer-friendly institution that without reservation or prejudice embraces the full power of the community college. Did you know that in 2021, only 29.8% of the 19,806 students from the Minnesota State Community College system went on to enroll at a 4-year institution within the system? 72.2% of those students enrolled at non-Minnesota State universities. We have work to do. It is imperative that we engage in dialogue and move forward to swift action. This year, we will create a culture of respect for the transfer population, and we will embrace the power of our community college partners. For many Minnesotans, starting at a community college is the only affordable path to a baccalaureate degree. This year, Interim Associate Vice President for Curriculum, Dr. Jennifer Veltsos, will complete work with departments and establishing course equivalencies for every academic program. This will allow us to realize the benefits of our transfer equivalency system, which streamlines the process for evaluating transfer courses. We will conduct a transfer audit, taking a deep dive into our processes, procedures, and policies from beginning of the recruitment cycle through graduation and employment. I will establish a transfer working group to conduct this audit and they will submit recommendations for continued improvements. President Inch and I will conduct outreach to our community college partners, and Interim Associate Vice President Terry Wallace will work collaboratively with deans, department chairs to ensure that we are strengthening our existing partnerships and that we are cultivating new agreements. Over this year, number 2, we will support student success by becoming a high-impact practice university that ensures that every student experience those high-impact practices throughout their programs of study. Koo in 2008 and Kinsey in 2010 found that students who are systematically exposed to those practices are more likely to excel and complete their programs of study. Over the coming year, we will conduct an inventory of our existing high-impact practices currently being deployed. We will then swiftly move to looking at the current literature around high-impact practices. We will engage deans, department chair, faculty leadership, as well as our other strategic campus partners in determining where our institution will move. And finally, we will establish goals around high-impact practices that will help us to stretch beyond our current offerings by 2025. Recent census data confirms something that we've known for a while. Our non-white populations in the state of Minnesota are growing. In the most recent census data, that population was for black students and black families, which increased at a rate of 2%, while the white counterparts decreased 5%. So this really shapes and drives home the imperative that we must address Equity 2030, because in those same categories, we're underperforming for our students of color. Building upon the strong foundation of the work led by VP Henry Morris, this year, we will introduce tools and strategies that will allow departments and colleges to assess their promising practices and find areas of improvement. We're working feverishly to finalize some great data that's going to help you understand where your departments are functioning at this time and how you will be able to develop and ascertain equitable outcomes for all students. We will continue the Art of Equity work led by Interim Associate Vice President for Faculty Affairs and Equity Initiative, Dr. Timothy Berry. This work over the past years has taken a critical look at our courses with high DFW rates and brings together a cross-section of university stakeholders to develop PAR plans for implementation. While this work is in its infancy, we're going to move ahead. Stay tuned for ongoing training opportunities through our CETL office and to learn more about this innovation. In closing, over the coming year, we're going to embark upon the next phase of our strategic planning process, which is led by VP Lynn Ackey. This process will provide an opportunity for the entire community to wrestle with the big ideas not discussed today. It will also provide a more appropriate opportunity for me to engage with the community in shaping our new shared vision. It is my sincere belief that the 3 priority areas presented are critical to our immediate success and viability. This is my invitation to action for academic year 2023. Take out your phones, and if you go to your cameras, and you will see a QR code on the walls around us. This is an opportunity for you to identify what priority areas sparked your interest. It will allow you to let me know what specific ideas you have about how we can move forward in these areas. I am excited about the year ahead that we are embarking upon, the possibilities that are ahead, and the opportunities to work with everyone to make meaningful connections with as many of you as possible. Thank you for your attention and looking forward to an amazing year.
Now I'll turn it back over to the board. And we thank you all for joining us this morning. You're now invited to the lobby to enjoy some refreshments, and here's to another great year at Minnesota State University, Mankato.